Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can I see everyone give yourself a round of applause tonight for being here? My name is Irene Lutras. I'm a first year PhD student with the Department of Communications, and I welcome you all to tonight's event. First off, I want to say thank you for taking time off your busy schedules to be here and to support all speakers, whether they're your friends, your roommate, your partners, and whatever. Thank you, and give yourself another round of applause. I'm going to start with an activity. I know that may sound weird, but I want us to close our eyes, everybody. No cheating. Make sure you close your eyes. And now that our eyes are closed, I want you to imagine what a moment or a minute feels like with your eyes closed. I can still see some eyes opened. No cheating. Okay, I want you to reflect on a time where you had to do something and you were thinking of counting time and how that impacted what you were doing. Now I want you to slowly open your eyes if you feel like a minute has passed. Okay, can we all open our eyes now? So some of us might feel that this minute may linger on. Others may also feel that this minute flew by so fast. Tonight, the purpose for which we're gathered here is to listen to speeches from our wonderful students in our department and beyond on navigating time in a fast-paced world. I want us to quickly first welcome our first speaker for the night, who is in the person of Libby Brandon. So Libby's pronouns are she, her. She's currently a freshman and studying accounting and finance, and she's from Herrin, Illinois. And the title of Libby's speech is The Pressure of Being Constantly Connected. Please give it up for Libby tonight.
Okay, can we clap again for Libby?
Imagine a world where all of these distractions are at your fingertips. Well, this is actually the reality we live in. The pressure to stay constantly connected is at an all-time high. Tonight, I will be discussing the problems and causes related to this pressure, and then offer some suggestions for how to deal with this pressure. My first main topics of tonight are the problems that occur when the pressure to be connected is a bit too much. As social media and digital communications become crucial parts of daily life, many individuals find themselves trapped in a cycle of comparison, which leads to heightened feelings of anxiety and depression. According to Columbia University study, in 2023, the constant stream of notifications and updates creates a sense of urgency and fear of missing out, leading to increased anxiety and stress. This overwhelming need to be constantly plugged in not only disrupts our ability to engage in meaningful interactions, but also fosters loneliness and disconnection. While smartphones were designed to keep us constantly connected, there appears to be a strain on relationships. How many of you guys go out to eat and see a family all in which have screens? Even the 2-year-old has an iPad. Now more than ever, it's been a struggle for people to talk to each other and form meaningful relationships. When we're constantly connected through our phones, we miss the opportunities to truly engage and connect with those around us. I could bet you all $5 that while you're listening to these speeches, you will wonder what you've missed on your phones. This, my friends, is a serious case of FOMO. FOMO, or the fear of missing out, has now intensified by 1 billion, now that media platforms exist. A 2019 Baylor study found that 75% of young adults experience FOMO, or the fear of missing out. With this study, it's safe to say that a majority of the audience tonight has experienced this intense feeling. Not only has the constant need to stay connected caused a bad case of FOMO in most, but it's also caused a large decrease in productivity. Multitasking is now the new norm due to the constant need to stay connected. Even in the classrooms of SIU, we find students constantly scrolling while listening to lectures. According to a 2021 study by Cleveland Clinic, only 2.5% of people were able to multitask effectively. This means, and I hate to say this, but a majority of us tonight in this auditorium are not effective multitaskers. With the constant pressure and resources we have, it's no wonder FOMO and mental health issues are up, while personal relationships and productivity are down. If we don't put our phones down and prioritize meaningful things, then we will end up living a meaningless life. To prevent this, I encourage you to follow Plug Pause's advice on how to use your phone intentionally. Set boundaries, such as limiting distracting apps. Turn off notifications after a certain time. Schedule a time to put your phone down, and practice mindfulness, such as meditating. Thank you all for listening to my speech, and I hope you guys are all inspired to use your phone intentionally as a tool for support rather than distraction.
Thank you, Libby. That was very insightful. Before I move on to our next participant, I would like to share that this event is sponsored by this Center for Civil Discourse and the Communication Studies. So thank you to our sponsors for this event. Next up is Angelina Fremo. Her pronouns are she, her, hers. She's currently a freshman and in the aviation management program. She comes from Orland Park, Illinois, and the title of her speech is Embracing Mortality and Time with Body Donation. Please give it up for Angelina.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to be here in this spot. I all appreciate you for coming. Thank you. First, I want to give a special thanks to the people who have helped me to be here in this spot. I want to thank my friends, my family on live stream, and my teachers. Thank you, Frankie, Christina, Irene, Dr. Shermars, and my friends who are here in the audience. I really appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I give a round of applause to you guys. Today, I ask you a question that most of us here wouldn't think about. What exactly do you want to get out of life? What exactly is it that you want to get here in this physical vessel and even after we take our final breath? I want you to take this moment to sit, think about it, and just breathe. What does this answer mean to you? It'll all look different to all of us, right? So I urge you today, let's unravel these answers and questions I give to you and embrace mortality and time with body donation. We can all transform mortality into a legacy. What this means is body donation extends a purpose beyond our physical vessel. When we think about going through our day-to-day lives, what does that exactly mean? We hustle for the money. We go through school to get our next degree. But what are we searching for? What is our end goal? I want you to think about that first question I asked you. Embracing mortality and time can create a culture of knowledge and enlightenment through body donation. And when we think about what a legacy means, is extending our purpose beyond our physical existence. There's this quote that I like from Dr. Balim. He's a professor at MIT. He says, "Whatever the reason someone chooses to donate, the decision becomes a gift. Healthcare needs death care. The bodies of the dead have long taught and trained the living." Now, I like this quote because it speaks a lot to me. And without knowing what the dead have taught us, we wouldn't be here to this day. And what exactly does healthcare mean in relation to death care? Do we necessarily think when our loved ones are sick, will they actually have the resources they need, emotional, mental, or even just the financial aspects of healthcare and death care? Let's explore that. When we think about that time to come, end-of-life care can look different. Is anyone familiar with the term palliative care? A few people in the crowd, right? And what about hospice care? Most of us, right? So palliative care is one of those terms that we don't really hear in America, or really in general in culture. Palliative care means to bring care in relation to hospice care. So what it looks like, we all know that, for most of us, we know that hospice care may look like giving more medications to someone who is in sickness when, unfortunately, that time has come. So that may look like more medicine, more treatment to ease the pain. So palliative care is offering spiritual and religious care when that time has come. So if you are someone who is spiritual or religious, or even someone who just needs support, this is what palliative care has to offer. This is death care. This is honoring the dead. After all, bereavement is hard. We need mental health support for anyone, for the person who is in that position and they have to go. But we all need mental health care. And that is important to talk about with anyone. And for everyone who is in this position, we will all have to face it. Spiritual and religious indulgence can look like indulging into whatever you believe in, wherever your beliefs reside in. If you are someone who believes in spirituality or who comes from a background that is more spiritual, engaging in that day-to-day life of just being practical of your spirituality. And overall, end-of-life care can look like more quality. So embracing the time to be more proactive and to sit there and know that you are putting time into your day and knowing that although you may not have enough time, you're still performing your day-to-day lives with the quality. You're taking time for yourself, your family, and engaging in a culture where you feel comfortable. And post-mortem care is something that we need to talk about. Why? Post-mortem care is the care that we receive and give to the dead. And I think something that we don't really talk about, even in just day-to-day lives, is what does post-mortem care look like? And all of these questions come up. It looks different for everyone. So all of these questions that go on in your head, these are questions that you'll be asking yourself throughout your entire lives. There's no end to these questions. So whatever post-mortem care may look like for you or your loved ones will differ. So when we talk about body donation specifically, how do we know if body donation is the best option for you, for me, for even your loved ones? Because after all, body donation is not for everyone. But we can conclude that body donation has its pros and cons, right? So how can we know if body donation is best for you? So there's personal advantages and disadvantages. Let's take a look at the advantages. There's personal fulfillment. So after all, it is a personal decision at the end of the day. And if you want to do it for your own good or for the sake of humanity, it is a decision that you can make when you decide to. It's also a unique death arrangement opposed to burial, cremation, or natural burial. You can contribute to the medical industry by, hopefully, if you have a healthy organ, you can be an organ donor. It offers unique financial savings. After all, body donation is typically free, and unfortunately, there may be a time where we have to think about what does financial savings look like for our family, for our future. And if that's something that comes up, then body donation is something to consider. And body donation, if done correctly, can honor the dead. The disadvantages of body donation may be just simply awareness. Some people don't even know that body donation is even an option. It's also a time-sensitive decision. So even if you do want to donate your body, sometimes it's not even a choice for you. It just won't happen. It's also a personal choice. So simply by saying no, and you don't want that answer for you or your family, you have the right to do so. And some people don't want to do body donation because you have limited control. So for what is best for you is an answer you'll have to decide on for the rest of your life. Let's take a look at this image. This is a plasticated human nervous system from the University of Colorado. I want you all to take a moment and think about this image. This image strikes me because not only does it benefit the human existence of how we see the medical industry, how we see our nerves. This is the human nervous system. I think this is really cool because they were once us in a physical vessel, and they had to decide at one point, yes, I want to decide to donate my body. This is exactly what I want to do. They had a soul who had hopes, dreams, wonders, and now they're immortalized in a plasticated human nervous system. And whether you decide to donate your body or not, I think there's something that we can all learn about body donation. And again, if done correctly, we can see amazing things just like this. When it comes to establishing a culture of body donation, mortality, and time, it's deemed as taboo, right? We don't go on our day-to-day lives just talking about death whenever we want, right? Nobody goes through their day-to-day lives thinking, oh, yep, that's what I want to do. The quality of life that we receive from day-to-day lives is something that we should embrace. Most of us, again, we go through our day-to-day lives, going through school, work, and taking care of our family. So it's important to take that time to really hone in on what you want to do. Be creative and to express yourself whenever you can. Your spiritual well-being is tied to your quality of life, how you embrace your life. And we need our community. I'm talking to you all to bring awareness to body donation. And it comes from not only a speech that I'm doing right now, but individual connections. And I think one thing that we can all, if there's one thing to get out of this, is to embrace connection building, to know that you are here for a reason, that I'm here for a reason, and I'm all grateful for you today. And embracing that gratitude on a day-to-day scale is something that can help appreciate our lives more and more, which can then inform us of how to help people go through healing and grieving, rather in a dreadful experience, but in a hopeful and enlightening way. So when we think about time, we all know that our time is limited. We don't know when our time is up. And it's a scary thought. And for most of us, we don't know how to get through that inevitable feeling, that uncomfortable feeling. And sometimes maybe that will never go away. But that's okay. Knowing how to deal with your time and how to work through your day-to-day lives. Learning how to grow with your preciousness of time is a chance to transform your life dramatically. Time is illusion, a social construct society created, but it's vital to the human experience. Why? Time is limited, and we don't know when our time is up. We have the power of choice to choose how we spend our time, but it can also become a spiritual consideration. How so? Well, we can journal every day, take a few moments out of our day to breathe, relax, do some yoga, whatever is a spiritual and intentional mindfulness activity for you. It looks different for all, but whatever at the end of the day makes you happy and makes you feel alive is your purpose here on earth. Spiritual and mindfulness living can be ingrained throughout your whole life. It doesn't stop here. If you're a person that has never been religious or spiritual or never have thought about, I want you guys to take a moment and to realize that you are here, you have your own free will, you have the moment to take every chance at everything and realize that your brain is so powerful at doing whatever you want to do. Spiritual and mindfulness living enhances a deeper relationship with yourself, your world, the beliefs, and human existence. Remember that first question I asked you? What is your purpose here on earth, and even after we pass? Spiritual and mindfulness living can help you create that connection to that question I asked you. So I ask you, and I urge you now to get involved. If you are considering body donation, or if you're even thinking about it, this is a QR link that I made to the website, which gives you a guide of how you can get involved in body donation. Now, again, there's no right or wrong answer. You don't need to choose whether you're going to donate your body or not. Again, if there's anything to get out of this, is how to mindfully choose how to use your time in a way that's best for you. If at the end of the day you choose or not to choose to donate your body, I hope this link can help you and guide you and to find the right answers. If you'd like more help with the link, I'm here after this speech and I can help you guide through every source and kind of go through where you want to be. And I encourage you all to spend some time with your family, be more grateful in your everyday lives, be altruistic, and embrace the mortality in time, and be mindful. Thank you.
Thank Thank you, Angelina. Thank you for providing us a starting point to think of how we can be able to think of body donation and managing our time in a fast-paced world. Thank you once again. Our next participant is Michaela Learned. Her pronouns are she, her. She's currently a senior here at SIU and is pursuing an agricultural communications with a minor in animal science. She is from Penfield, Illinois, and the title of her speech is Cultivating Time Within American Agriculture. Please give it up for Michaela.
My world is different from yours. You guys wake up first thing in the morning, maybe check your social media and seeing what's going on after we were asleep. I look to see what the current crop prices are every single morning and how they're going to roll throughout the day. You're on your way to work, listening to the radio, what music's going on. I'm listening to the market reports about where spring feeder cattle are going to be today, and hopefully if my family can make a profit down the road. You're at work, sitting in the office, talking to your colleagues, talking about all the drama that's going on. I have my sights set on praying for my community after we just had massive field fires due to drought, high winds, and dangerous conditions during harvest. You guys are here teaching, studying for your dream degrees. I'm here 3.5 hours away from my farm, hoping to continue the legacy that my family has provided for me as a fourth-generation agriculturalist. My world is different from yours because agriculture does not stop. My world is going at a fast-paced rate over 3.5 hours away because agriculture doesn't stop. If we did not wake up first thing in the morning, get ready to go to a livestock show, and did not feed, did not wash our animals and load them off on the trailer, I'd be late, setting off the tone for the entire day, possibly not winning. If I did not go check on the pasture where my heifer was having her first calf in the middle of a storm, I could risk both losing her and her baby because I was not there. This has been my life since I was 10 years old because agriculture doesn't stop. Kind of getting the feel of what this is about. So this is a fast-paced world, and especially as mine. We all have our times and we need to navigate it. But I want us to think about how time works for agriculture. My world doesn't even compare to everything other farmers have to do, which is harvesting, planting, pest control, and so much more. You want to know what's happening possibly on a farm right now? A farmer is sitting at their table, listening to the reports on the radio, and this is what they hear. Corn is going up, beans are going down, beef is at an all-time high, and pork is taking a hit. They're racing to the elevator, trying to get their crops in on time, trying to make that profit, while hoping to make sure they have enough time to make it to the sale barn to get their cattle in. All while remembering they still have to get crops out of the ground, and there's a storm on the way. If the ground gets wet, you have to wait until it's dry. And who knows when that's going to happen because there's been a drought, and we need that rain. Not to also mention, there's a hole in your barn roof, and you kind of need to get that fixed before the storm comes in. Where do you go? What do you do first? What do you save for later? You guys just spent too much time thinking. Corn is back down below market price. You did not make it to the sale barn on time. Storm clouds are brewing this way, and the cows are screaming. By the way, your tractor's broken, so you're not able to fix that roof, and you're not able to feed your cattle. What do you do now? What do you save for later? When are you going to go back out into the field? When are you going to fix that barn roof? How are you going to pay to fix that barn roof if you're not able to get into the field and get to the elevator on time? This never stops. And it leads to a very harsh and sad truth. 20% of the American population are farmers. They are feeding for the 98% of us who may not even know where their food, clothing, or fuel comes from. They come from the backs of the 2% of Americans who are working day and night alone in harsh conditions, and most people don't even know it. The suicide rate for farmers is 3.5 times more likely That number is continuously growing, making it one of the highest in the nation. It is because we have this labor and this stress put on our backs. How are we going to continue to do this? We have to deal with corporate farms taking over our land and so much more. And it's impossible to bear all of this by ourselves. So what can we do? We learn. We learn about the areas where we can help and where they're struggling to hopefully remove that stress and hopefully to support the 2% that are fighting every single day. According to the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, agriculture consistently ranks among the top most dangerous industries in the world. With the dangerous equipment that we constantly have to work with and the fatality rates that we face, this is one of the most dangerous industries that we see. We do not recognize this, but it is a truth. We are taught from a young age, do not stick your hands into the PTO shaft or else you'll lose a finger. We also learn that you may get trampled down by cattle someday, or your trailer might swerve on ice on the side of the road. This is a dangerous world that we are working in, but we continue to do it because we love it. The people that love it continuously do this work every single day. They are dedicated, they are passionate, and they continue to do it because it's a family legacy, just as my own. 95% of the family farms in the US are owned and operated by small, medium, and large-sized farming operations. You go out into this dangerous world, and you get to do it, though, with your father, your mother, your grandparents, your brother, sister, and an uncle, just as I get to almost every day. But we have to fight back because we have the struggles of corporate farming. That extra 5% is what we are fighting for every single day, because they have the financials and the technological advances that sometimes the small farmer is not able to have. So we are constantly working hard, trying to make sure the family legacy moves on. And it's so incredibly hard to do that when we have all these odds stacked up against us, especially when it comes to financial issues. Over 50% of food is wasted in the United States. That is profit that comes out of our pocket that we lose. My grandfather told me, I do not work in the cattle industry to make a profit. A lot of people think that, but it's not true. We do it because it grows a name for ourselves and provides a legacy for me and my family down the road. Did you guys know that 30% of the food that we have in the field right now, which, by the way, some of it's not even food that we eat. There's seed corn that we use for food and other products, soybeans that we use for livestock feed. That's most of the stuff that you see in the field. A lot of the other food that we actually do eat is made on different parts of the country and the world. For Illinois, we're very well known for specialty crops, horseradish, pumpkins, and so much more, especially our livestock. Bison's one big one that we have here too. Now, for all those crops that we do eat, 30% of it does not make it out of the field because it does not look right. It tastes fine, but it does not meet the standards that we have. Then we go through the process of the 6% that does not make it through to the store and so much more. And then what really hits us is the 42% that is wasted in the consumer's home. It is thrown away. So not only do we not make a profit of that 30% of food that does not make it out of the field, we also have the 42% of crops that's not even being eaten, that we spend our hard time, labor working on for so many months out of the year. From all of this, the safety issues that we have in the agriculture industry, making it one of the most dangerous, the food not being able to be fully used and having a hard time making a profit is putting pressure on our farmers' backs. Society makes us feel that we need to not ask for help or else they'll be looked down upon, especially American agriculturists. It's no wonder why the story about ag mental health is starting to grow. It's because it's becoming a raising issue. We need to foster a community that is able to understand not only where our food comes from, but appreciate every single resource that we have from the food, fiber, and natural resource industry. I know this seems like a lot, and there's so much that we can learn, but just by sitting here listening to me about my family's farm and the farms around the United States and the world, there is an impact we can do. There are so many resources and organizations that we can be a part of, just as myself. We have multiple Farm Bureau organizations, such as the American Farm Bureau Federation and Illinois Farm Bureau Foundation. Here, we work continuously to work towards farm bills and more, so then we're able to better provide not only for our American farmers, but for the consumers that buy the healthy, nutritious food that we work so hard to provide. Ag policy is a very big thing, and it's been a struggling issue over the last couple of years, especially with not having our annual farm bill continuously coming back to being able to help us, not only just with financials and so much more, but also making sure that new farmers and ranchers are able to start growing so we can keep that 2% and hopefully make it grow. To hopefully help our foods to become even safer and having more legal policy in place in order to make sure we have the highest quality on our plates. Now, I know national and state might seem like a really big place to where you can start, but it also can stay on local. Every single county in Illinois has two things. They have a farm bureau, so you guys can go to your home county or even Jackson County and go talk to somebody about what meetings are coming up, listening to farmer stories, listening about what we can do to help and apply ourselves into the agriculture industry and learn about where our food and resources and textiles come from. Another amazing thing that I truly am passionate about that our farm bureaus also have is the Agriculture in the Classroom organization. Here we have 600,000 elementary students being taught by educators about where their food comes from. They learn that chocolate milk does not come from brown cows. They learn that chicken does not come from pork. And there is, in fact, dairy and butter. So that is an amazing resource that we have. But not only is it for our students, it's for our entire community. They have resources online where you can see easy, fun activities where you can spend time learning about the agriculture industry. And another amazing thing to do to know where your food comes from and to support your local farmers is to just go to a local food market, to a farmer's market. We have one in Marion, we have one in Murphy, I believe we have one in Murdale, but we have some across the entire state, and they are amazing. There's an argument about going to a farmer's market. The prices are higher. Yes, because it's not processed food. You know where it comes from. You know the labor and hours it comes from your neighbor down the road. This is a great resource. Even starting small, this little step can make a massive difference to our American farmers. We need to be able to foster a culture where we can understand one another, not only what you guys do, but what the farmers do. How to navigate time in a fast-paced world is not just about us. It's about how the interconnectedness of our lives apply to everybody. I grow food, I grow cattle and corn, which gets put into fuel in your car, the steak on your plate, and so much more, even to the clothing on your back. By even being able to better understand the interconnectedness of our lives from just that 2% of American farmers can make a world of a difference, not just for your health lifestyle, but also for those farmers that are currently struggling. By being able to understand, you can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela, for showing us how we can make a difference in the agriculture and food industry. Our next participant is from Little Rock, Arkansas. The title of her speech is Embracing the End. She is pursuing a mechanical engineering with aerospace specialization here at SIU, and her name is Emily Yarborough. Please give it up for Emily.
Hello. First, I would like to say thank you for all of you being here. And second of all, I would like to just give our final person, our final speech giver, Elwood, just a bit of a hand. He's the last one. It's a little anxious. He wasn't here for the practice. So can we just give him a round of a hand right now? He's coming in. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. Thank you. We will all die someday. It may be instant from a heart attack at 55 or slow, imminent Parkinson's, possibly even dishearteningly young from a car crash. The common thread here is that we never know exactly when it'll be. Though, what changes if you do? How can you cope with being 20 and knowing you won't make it to 25? Is it even possible to prepare for the end of something like that? How can we manage our time when our time is running out? Today, I hope to answer these questions, to teach you about the importance of freedom in limited life and how to find comfort in the end. In a study prompted by National Institutes of Health in 2019, 48 terminally ill patients at hospitals across Australia were polled on what mattered most to them in their care. And the number one answer among 89% of them was adherence to their wishes. When things get down to the wire, people tend to start trying to take control of things, forcing choices on us that we never wanted. This results in us losing precious time as we can't make our own decisions. I know firsthand how annoying and frankly awkward this is. Listen, I appreciate your concern, but I don't really care if I don't live to see 30, because that just means I have 13 more years to make life my bitch. I want to do the things I want, when I want, how I want. I won't allow anything else, and neither should you. Until the day we die, we can do anything. So why would we spend it doing what someone else wants? If you're close with a very sick person, give them some space. Don't ignore them, but reconsider some of the things that you do out of accessibility that might actually be controlling or demeaning. Check in with how they're feeling and be there for them to make their own choices. Because we can all do incredible things as long as we have hope. Because hope is a beautiful thing and a very necessary part of taking our time for ourselves, finding a way to work with our deadlines, removing our fear of the end one step at a time. According to a 2022 Pew Research poll of over 13,000 Americans aged 35 or younger, 72% of them had some substantial level of anxiety about their death. I want you to picture your own non-existence. Tough, I know, confusing, and maybe even terrifying. Examining this inhibition is how we learn to control our fears. Who would you want by your side? What do you hope you've accomplished? Where do you want to have gone? Only the broad strokes. We're imagining, not making some bucket list. Now, step back. What would have to happen for those things to happen? Now step back again. What can be done now that leads you down that path? Having a pathway, especially for those of us that may not have as much time as we deserve, can solidify our stresses and desires into something tangible and executable. I have another question. Is the thought still scary? I think there will always be some level of anxiety about our death, but I mean, look at what you've created. There are all of your loved ones. You've accomplished things that you can only ever dream of right now. Your life is so much different than it was even just the day before. Is something like that really scary? I don't think so. In fact, I think it's kind of beautiful. We need to see these bright sides, not because they make things easier or they shadow our pain, but because they're there. They're beautiful, and they are our fuel. These principles apply to everyone. Our health will never be as consistent as we'd want, and everything has an ending. The majority of us are college students, yes. College doesn't last forever, and there can be a lot of things we want to accomplish. You know the phrase, missing the forest for the trees? Well, college is kind of a forest. And then life is kind of an even bigger forest. and that makes a lot of trees. We've learned about how to manage our time effectively, but sometimes we should manage our time sincerely. When was the last time you did that? Probably too long. Take a deep breath and pause. Not distracted, but not working either. When you leave college, yes, you'll think of the parties and the love and the classes, but one day, I'm sure, you'll think of something else. The gentle rustle of leaves as you walked to class, the shallow clacks of the rocky path, the spanning view from the 7th floor of the library. Yes, there's a forest, and yes, there are trees, but there's also bugs, grass, shiny night skies, and the nice feeling of connecting with an old friend. These are important little dreams. If you miss them, you'll feel it. Find those big threads and soak in the little joys of life. Embrace your deadlines not as losses, but as culminations of everything you've accomplished. Until the very end, we can do anything, but you only have one life. So go follow that dream. Thank you.
You only have one life, so go follow that dream. At this time, we're going to welcome our next participants. They are from Fort Collins, Colorado. The title of their speech is Time Served, and they're a sophomore here at SIU studying fermentation science. Please give it up for Elwood Sheffley.
Let's see if I can get this mic on. Okay, good evening, everyone. We've been through a couple really good speeches so far. Hopefully I can bring it home. This one is called Time Served. And to start it, I just want to talk to everyone about something that you've probably experienced now or will in a couple of years. Now, we're all here at a college for a reason. And for most of us, that means that we're going to spend a few years on college and then have to move on. So let's start with that. Congrats, grad! You did it. You spent 4 years learning, studying, passing tests, trying your very hardest to get through this. And now you want to go out and do the thing you came here for. You want to go out and make a big splash in your field, finally apply all those things that you spent all that time learning. But the thing is that the average college graduate will have to wait a little longer to be able to make that big splash. In fact, the average college graduate will wait 20 weeks, or about 5 months, to be able to actually have a job in the field they were educated for. Now, that might not seem like all that much, but if you look at this calendar up here, that's a substantial portion of an entire year of your life that you're spending likely just sitting around making cold calls, maybe going business to business, maybe spending time on LinkedIn, which hopefully nobody is excited for, given that it's LinkedIn. And that's an amount of time that's also conservative. In fact, another study shows that recent grads have it even worse than the average US population looking for a job. One study shows that 14 months, that's over a year, is the average time that a recent college graduate will wait to be able to get a job in their field. And that is a really long time. But it might not seem like that big of a deal, right? You served your time in college, you're going to serve your time looking for a job, and after that, you get to make your big splash, you get to innovate. But here's the thing. Most college graduates are not going to end up taking a job that they want. In fact, this huge slice of gray right here is the 73% of college graduates that end up taking a job that does not fit their career goals, according to a survey done by Monster. And that's a job-getting site, so you'd think they would have good data. This orange slice up here is the amount of college graduates that end up taking a job that fit their career goals. And that gray slice there, within that larger gray slice that's darker, is the amount of college graduates that end up taking a job that doesn't fit their goals because they lack experience. Now that might seem a little silly, we spent a ton of time learning how to do a given thing. That 4 years, for a lot of people, more than 4 years, time looking for that job, and we're lacking the experience to do a thing. We spent a lot of our money and a lot of our time trying to figure out how to do it, and yet we don't have enough time spent in this area to be able to do it. Now, that might seem a little bleak, but the thing is that we need to be able to figure out how to spend our time now so that we can spend our time the way we want to in the future, so that we can make sure that it's a little less time looking for that job and a little more experience to be able to take us towards the area that we want to be able to work in. So we're going to go over what our pasts are supposed to look like, what people are looking for in the fields that we want to be able to make a big splash in and apply ourselves in. We're going to look over how we spend our time now to get our pasts to look like that. And we're going to go over me time. So let's start with what our pasts are supposed to look like. And because this is about employment specifically, I'm going to stick on that topic as opposed to something like trying to get into a cool club. So when we talk about what employers are looking for to try to get into a field that we want to be in, one question is what that actually is. And generally, the models that you look at argue that it's human capital. The reason you would hire someone is that they have a skill that you can apply to the work that you're doing. So that's a reason that you want them on your team. But the thing is that that human capital model isn't always the best way of modeling it. Because ultimately, there's a lot of statistics that show that just the skills that you have aren't ultimately the thing that makes people trust you to do a given job. Notably, voluntary versus involuntary internships are weighed completely differently when it comes to how likely you are to get a job in the field that the internship was in. Voluntary internships are significantly more likely to signal that you might be a good fit for that job than an involuntary one, which means that employers aren't just looking at if you can do a thing, they're looking at if you're really excited about it, which doesn't make a ton of sense for the human capital model. So the other way that we might look at it is signaling. We're pinky promising an employer that will be really, really good at this thing that we learned how to do, and that pinky promise comes in the form of showing them where our allegiances lie. Now, another piece of evidence for this signaling model comes from a study called the non-monetary benefits of social capital. And that argues that social capital, meaning interpersonal relationships, might be incredibly valuable when it comes to the workplace, more so than human capital or skills. For example, people in a workplace with more friends are substantially likely to get promoted or paid higher than their coworkers that might not have more friends, which is sort of a bummer, given that the amount of friends you have probably doesn't affect your skills all that much, besides friend-making skills, of course. Now, how do we spend our time to get our pasts to look this way? We want to signal a really good pinky promise that we're good at what we do, or that we'll be especially loyal, or whatever else employers are looking for. Now, a big way of doing that is by choosing things that are voluntary, right? Voluntary internships are weighted higher, but also things like student employment, something you have to seek out, are also weighted significantly higher in getting into a field that you're especially interested in. So look for an internship. And that might seem a lot easier than it actually is, right? You could cold call a bunch of different labs or programs or people in the school and still end up with no real capability to immediately find student employment in your area. So what are some other meaningful options? For one, you can signal your interest using things like student engagement. So if you find an extracurricular, lots of studies show that extracurriculars are being included more and more on resumes recently because they help you stand out. So if you're really into a field, maybe you want to join the club for that field. Or alternatively, maybe you want to apply the thing that you're good at that you're in school for to that field. So if you're an accounting major, for example, you might go and try to get a treasurer position in a club that you're more interested in. That shows that you're pretty good at accounting, you can apply it very well, and then you can show it off to your employer and be like, look, this is a great pinky promise that I'm going to be good at accounting. Let me do the thing that I know how to do. But that might seem a little bleak, right? We have to structure our outside time around our work. We have to structure it 9 to 5 around our work. We have to structure years to learning how to do a given job. And then we have to structure months and months to finding that given job. That's not all that exciting. Navigating time when it's a huge time investment for not all that much fun is not a great way to navigate time. So let's talk about wrenching me time back. We all need that me time, or else there's not really a point to having time in the first place. So how do we end up signaling a very good pinky promise that we're good at what we do, that we're good at what we're interested in, and also not having to spend all our time contextualizing our lives around work? A big way to do that is by combining our me time with our passions. Let's get back to what we originally tried to structure this speech around. We're here for 4 years learning a thing that we chose to learn. Maybe you're here for a shorter amount of years to get a postgraduate degree. Maybe you're here for more years to get a double major. Maybe you're here to take classes that you're interested in just for fun. But you're here because you were passionate about something, enough that you chose it over a bunch of other options. So let's talk about that passion. For me, I'm in fermentation science, which is an interesting thing to do. So I like to apply that in other areas of my life. You can pick the thing that you're especially passionate about and use it as a jumping off point. You can apply it to an extracurricular. You can go around and write about it for clubs. You could go around and join a student organization that's in your major. There's a reason that we chose to invest years of our lives to doing these things, and it's not because we hate them, because otherwise we probably wouldn't have invested those years of our lives, which means we can recontextualize us doing our passion as me time, not as something we're doing just for work. So let's go back over it. To use your passion, you can help out a student organization. You could cold call professors and go and learn more about your program. You could wander campus to find interesting buildings or other interesting programs where you could apply yourself. And you can find an outlet to finally let that passion help yourself out in being able to do that same thing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers for tonight. At this point, I would like to go over and remind us that this wonderful event is sponsored by the Society for Civil Discourse and in collaboration with the Department of Communication Studies here at SIU. And at this point, if you are thinking of what major to enroll in, this program might be the right program for you if you're still here thinking about what to do. At this point, again, I would like to call on all our speakers, and we're going to make time for question and answers. If anyone has any mind-boggling questions they would want to ask our speakers here, it could be just like, how did you do this? And any other question that you would want to ask our speakers. So if I could have all our speakers line up here, and please raise your hand if you do have any questions for any of them. We will pass the mic around, and then we can get everyone to share their thoughts, or even just congratulate them on whatever they have done here. Thank you. Any questions for our speakers? We have any words? Congratulations. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
When you were talking about specifically like volunteering, does it make a difference whether it's on campus or like, say you're into like veterinary stuff? Would it matter more to join an RSO or to like volunteer at a shelter? Like, are those weighted any different?
So the study that I cited compares a bunch of different things and then weights them very differently, which means that I don't have like a theory reason for it, but the statistics do show that if something is like educational training that shows that you know how to do something, it might be more useful than just showing that you're interested in it. So I would say volunteering at a shelter is probably better, especially because there's not all that many statistics about having an extracurricular on your resume, because it's relatively recent that our generation has started doing it.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, I don't have the like job market theory behind that. Just that's the stats.
Any other questions? If we don't have any other questions, I'm
Yeah, I've got a question for Elwood also. Your presentation seemed very focused on white collar work instead of blue collar work. So as somebody who's here for blue collar work, I was wondering if I even had a chance if the quitty smart guys can't get a job.
I would say that the hoity-toity smart guys getting a job tends to be the things that are more competitive. Because notably, blue collar work has stuff like apprenticeships, where there's something where you can get your foot in the door to have a voluntary opportunity that's directly connected to a job. So I would say if you're looking for something like trades, definitely shoot for that same voluntary internship opportunity, but maybe shoot for the employer that you want to end up with as opposed to employers in general, because a lot of those hoity-toity office jobs are definitely less interested in the skills that you have.
Any other questions? Okay, if we don't have any other questions, our speakers will be around if you want to chat with them, if you want to say anything to them, you can do that. But we want to say a big thank you to the director of our School of Communications, Dr. Rebecca Anderson, all our graduate students, professors, everyone who helped to make this. And to our students here, there is a sign-up sheet outside if you for extra credit if you're here, so please make sure you pass by. And we do also have catering outside available for everyone. We are very hospitable and nice. Thank you.